Is this thing on? I think it is. Okay, so uh, some people have been asking me about my process to go from grayscale to color painting, and I decided to, because I mean, it's not a complex process, but it's just that it's not exactly a recipe. So I decided to do a video because it's easier to show than to tell. You know, because it's very weird to try to describe it, because sometimes I do it one way, sometimes I do the other. It depends on what I feel is necessary for the painting. So just wanted to do it in front of you guys in a video. So if you have any doubts, it would be easier to understand. Uh, by the way, I'm no one important, you know. I'm, I'm basically no one at all. So this is just my opinion. I'm no expert or anything. Um, you don't have to do it this way if you don't want it to, or even if you want to, it might not be the way that is best for you. But it's always nice to see how other people do things, so you can sometimes you get a new idea of how you could do stuff. You can pick up small uh, ideas or some process that you haven't thought before, and you can add it to your repertoire. So it's not a bad thing, right? So first things first, I usually when I do my paintings like this weird, it's really fucking weird bird. I most of the times I do it in grayscale first, as you can see. So black and white, so grayscale. So and then later I work with the colors on top of it and try to fix everything. So why grayscale? First thing, uh-huh. So uh, it's not necessary. Uh, if you feel better working direct on colors, and if you have a clear idea of what you want to paint, then you can just start right away in colors. But usually when I start painting something that I hardly ever have like a very clear idea of what I'm gonna paint, you know. I mean, I knew I was gonna paint a bird or something like that, but I wasn't fully aware of what it was gonna be. We would have this weird ball sack or a butt in his head, you know, and it's not either, you know. It's just technically speaking, I was thinking about like uh, a male mating display, you know, like something that would be colorful to call the attention of the female, and he suffers like because he covers his eyes because of it, so he has to deal with his um, hearing and smelling and other stuff to compensate for it. It's just like just an idea of the handicap principle. That this is some biological stuff that I've I've wrote it down on my last one of my last posts on Instagram. If you want to check it out, I'm not gonna waste too much time talking about it now. So anyway, I'm doing it in grayscale first because this way I can deal with the idea and not with the colors. Uh, when I'm trying to paint something, whatever it is, I have to deal with all crazy things about it. I have to decide where is gonna where are gonna be the connections, what's the material, what is the texture. So there's a lot of stuff in my mind at the same time. And if I was going to work with color at the same time, it would be even more stuff. So I try to simplify how much shit I have to have on my head at the same time. So I follow the shape, values, and edges process, you know. So I focus only on these three things, you know, only on the shape. It's shaped like a bird, a weird bird, but it's shaped like a bird. Okay, so it has the shape. I'm not gonna say, and I'm not gonna do this and tell you it is a ball. It's not a ball. It's not a circle. It's a square. So first thing first, I need to get the shape right. Then the values. The values are the thing that I like the most about it. So I spend a lot of time on it. You can see where it's dark, where it's light, where there are shadows, cast shadows, form shadows, all the nice fun stuff, and edges. So where I wanted to have a little uh, fatter, so to speak, where it's not so defined. I mean, this is not a finished product, so there's a lot of unrefined edges in here. But you can see in here, for example, it's well more defined, you know, way more defined. So you can see where is the cast shadow, where is the ambient occlusion, and all that kind of thing, you know. So this way I can simplify the whole painting process to only three things, and the less things I have on my mind, the more I can focus. So it's like I'm I'm battling. I'm in a war, you know. So here is my main base, let's say here, and I'm fighting against everything else. I can focus on one front, so I can really deal with this, or I can divide everything to all of the fronts. So it might seem like a better strategy, but at the same time, your mind is divided, and you have more chances of losing everything, basically. So I try to tackle things by first here, then I'm gonna deal with this, then I'm gonna deal with that, and all the kind of stuff. It is a silly analogy, but I think you get the meaning. So yeah, uh, from here it's easy. Once you have grayscale painting, going to color is easy. Technically speaking, you could do it in one layer. I use a variety of layers so I can adjust and do things my own way. But just a color layer is already enough sometimes. It depends on how well defined your values are and how close they are to what you want them to be. You know, so this is an example. These are various layers. I use color layers, another color layer, a multiply layer, overlay layer, and a little soft light. So what's the deal with all of those layers? So the first color layer, just to establish where I want my main areas of surface blood vessels to be, you know, where I'm thinking like, oh, this is gonna be where there's more blood near the surface, so it's gonna be reddish, redder than everything else. And I did this sometimes just to start myself thinking about colors. Then I start working on the rest of the skin and the beak, thinking like, oh, I want more of this color to come here and more of this in this weird area. Then I start thinking about the feathers, but as you can see, I felt like it was way too light, so the value were too light on the feather for the brownish color that I wanted, because I didn't want it to look orangey. I wanted it to be brown, kind of like a kiwi bird or even the fruit. So then I created a multiply layer to try and get it more to an earthly, I don't know, more of an earth tone, you know, more of a ochre, no, not ochre, brown color, you know, you get what I mean. And from that here, I had the basic of my color scheme. From that with a overlay layer to create some variations where I could put a little bit of a very soft blue light hitting the top of the feathers. Some It's very subtle. I like to play with subtlety. So more red in the ass area, the head ass area, the butt head area. A little light in the beak, as you can see, to make it more translucent. Huh? And then I use it a soft light layer just to brighten up some little parts. But even these things I could have done in a different way, because uh, as soon as I have my color layers in here, they are all tied together to the grayscale. So all I need to do is change the values in my grayscale, and I'm gonna affect them as well. So there are many ways that I can go about it. So one of the ways would be to create like another layer in here. It could even be normal, and just with a simple black brush I could just make this feathers darker, and it would react. Now it would follow this. Now it has a darker value, and the color layers would react to it, and do different things is a possibility. And the same thing for the opposite. If I wanted a part of it to be light, I could just go with a lighter gray or even a white. I'm not being very cautious right now, just to get the idea through, like I'm not. I would, of course, I would be going like very softly and building the values up, not just throwing like a huge spot of light here. But yeah, you get what I mean. And I could even do it in a different way. For example, I could use adjustment layers like levels or brightness and contrast, for example. Brightness and contrast is a very good one. I can lower the brightness, see, and it already comes with a little mask for the layer, so I can just mask out what I don't want to be affected by it. And I already have like something affecting and changing the colors, and I can even use it to describe a shadow, for example. So this is a quick example. So I can even add it back in here, for example, here, see, and now you go like, oh, there's a stronger light source hitting here, and it's everything that is blocking the lights casting a shadow. It's a possibility. It's all up for you to decide. And yeah, from this you can do a lot of stuff. You can even, on top of something that you already painted with colors, you can add another color layer and change everything, and then you fix the parts that you need to fix with an overlay. And oh no, this is not this one. So, the main thing that I will want to say is like, even after all of this, I wouldn't just live like this. I would create a new layer on top of it, a new normal layer on top of it, and I would come with whatever brush I wanted, and I would paint on top of it again. Because just this is, it works, but it's very aggressive depending on, it's not it's not very well blended, as you can see. For example, like in this area, so this is blue, sure, and this part is red. So since the light is hitting on here, it would have a bouncing light over there. So I need to throw in some red in here, to make it feel more like it's interacting with it. Not that strong, of course. I would probably go again and paint and fix and find the proper color. Like, I'm not really happy with how this one is going here. So do I want it to be in a darker shade, more saturated? I can create it a more of a depth sense on it. Do I want it to be more reflexive, so more of a bouncing light in here, maybe not. Uh, so yeah, but if you, cause you have choices. You know, if you have refined your grayscale painting to the finish level, you know, like if 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 this were like a perfect finished drawing only in it is in black and white, then would be just a matter of finding the right colors. Even just like I said, with just one color layer, I could probably make it all look very very nice, maybe. But I usually started on grayscale, like I said, so I can focus on my three main points. But I don't quite finish it yet. So when I'm getting a little bored, maybe, or I'm already very how can I say it, sure about the subject that I'm painting. Like I'm sure of what's gonna be this. I know it's a weird bird. It's not just a blob anymore. So I know what I want from it. I know how I want it to look. So from here, I can start using colors, for example. And nothing here, but sure. I can start using these colors, for example. So I add the colors, and it gives me a new view of what I'm painting. So now I know what I have to fix. It brings in some new life, and also I can get the hype going again. I'm not just bored by painting black and white. It is really really fun, but after a while, you can get a little stuck on it because you're not seeing much progress after a while. After all, it's just refining, 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 and refining is more fun when you have colors to play with because uh, some stuff you're only gonna figure out with the colors if the pen is gonna be in color in the end. There are some stuff that is hard to figure out in just black and white, like I did this area here, but am I sure that this is the saturation that I wanted, you know? So now I can create a normal layer on top of it all and go heavy with the saturation if that's what I feel that is necessary in here. And then it's just a matter of blending all up in here. I'm doing a very messy job because I'm talking at the same time that I'm painting, and I'm trying to do it quickly without thinking very much before I start painting, you know, because I'm just trying to describe the stuff that I'm thinking. So I'm not doing a very good job, but you get the gist of it, right? Just a gist. Who cares? Oh, anyway, just fixing, 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 and blending, 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 and see, I felt like, oh, okay, now it feels better. I prefer it this way. So then I can start working on everything else. I can decide that I have a very strong saturated point in here in this ambient occlusion. So let's add it up. Something that maybe if I was just working on the grayscale one, I wouldn't notice because I don't know how dark this area needs to be considered saturated when I add the colors. So and even if I were to turn this into a black and white painting again, like this for example, you can see that it's gonna be a difference. See, right in that area, it's darker, now it's lighter. So I can see like, oh, I thought it would be this color, but it should actually be this one, you know. So I always keep like a color layer filled with black on top of my paintings when I'm painting with color, so I can check the values anytime I need. And a color layer filled with black is more uh, secure as a way to check out your values instead of just adjustment layer with the saturation down. Is if you check it out, sometimes you can really notice, but it's not the same thing. Sometimes it doesn't translate very well. Like you see some little difference of how it is with the black layer and with the saturation layer. This is a topic for another day. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna try and do a little. I'm gonna try and do like from the grayscale to a little color scheme. Nothing too serious, just a little quick color scheme the way that I do it, just so maybe you guys can understand my process a little bit better. I might not talk too much some moments because I might be thinking, and usually when I'm doing this, I'm not talking. I'm just most of the time I'm singing actually. Love to sing my old punk songs. But yeah, let's try and see how it goes. So I have my grayscale, everything's in place, but I'm feeling a little bit bored. I want some color on it. I need some life. Let's start with the red, slightly orangey red, just to create a base with a very soft brush. See, very soft. And I can go very slowly, very gently. I just want to create a little bit of life in here. Maybe I want to focus on some areas. So they're gonna have a little. Oh, no, that's too much. A little bit more in here. This area as well. Side the beak. Sure, why not? I think I'm gonna try and go with a different color in this area. It's not gonna be the red one. I think I'm gonna go with the blue one. But I still have to think about everything else. So let's add a little bit of red underneath. Most birds, I would say almost all of them, unless there's something new that I don't know about, they have red blood. So as far as I know, let's give it a little bit of warm color on it. Just a little bit of, just a tad of it on the feathers as well. I think I'm gonna go with the brown feathers. I'm gonna start with a little bit of a red to give it a something different to play against. Let's try. I'm probably gonna have the same problem here with the idea of the brown feathers because it's too light. So I might gonna have to use either a multiply layer or just darken the values or something like that. For now, let's give it a little bit of orangey splash color. Not that saturated, just a little bit. Keeping it kind of gray. The beak, I could go for a black beak this time. I'm gonna go for more of a grayish beak. Not gonna be the classic orangey yellow. Just a little bit of color on it. And the fleshy bits are gonna be slightly peach. I don't know, something like that. Just a tad. Okay, a good first color layer for a base. It works. It reads well. Other stuff that you can even add in a color layer, a multiply layer, and other stuff you can even add like little veins and stuff. But probably not on the color layer. That would be better on overlay layer or a multiply layer, but it's another coating that you can do. And on the soft light layer, if you use one, you can add some bumps in the skin as well, some lighter values and stuff. Is fun. I'm gonna create a new layer. I'm gonna go with color again, not saturation. I say color. And let's try and play around with the the bluish idea. So first I'm gonna start with some purple. Try and make a transition from the red to the blue. It would be a very good idea for me to check some examples, some reference of real live birds that have blue plumage, not plumage in this case, but blue parts on their body, which actually do exist, like the cassowary and some other ones. But I'm already here and I'm lazy, so let's just go with my guts and see where they lead me. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of a bluish color to it. This looks very, very unsafe for work right now. Yeah, let's try and get it a little more of a blue tone going, not much of a purple. This is starting to look very wrong. Okay, looks a little more acceptable by society standards. Maybe not completely solid color, I know, just some spots of blue over here and there. Mm, this looks nice. That looks nice. Mm-hmm. Cool. What should I do? Should I add a little more of a peachy coloring here? No, a little bit. Just usually in these shadow areas would be a little more of a dark orangey. So let's try and add a little bit of it in here. Sometimes shadow looks better if it's not actually very dark, but like very saturated. It's just you have to try it. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. So you never know. And you need to also like define how intense your lighting is gonna be. You know, like it's a soft light, a very harsh light, there's a spotlight directly on it or whatever. Of course, I already gave myself some visual cues in here to guide myself, but I can always change if in case I wanted to. So let's see. That's nice. So for now, I'm gonna go with a multiply layer. Gonna go very light, but not very saturated. Go to the orangey area. Now less saturated, a little more yellow, a little less bright. Oh, okay. Now it's getting browner. It's nice. It's a very somber hue, very earthy, very nice, very distinguished for a bird. Gonna go a little darker in some areas. That's another good thing working on a multiply layer in here. I can still play with the values. I'm only gonna use like a multiply layer or an overlay layer, stuff like that, if I think the values are not exactly right for the color that I want. So this, because just the color layer, it would just play with the color. It's not gonna affect the values at all. You know, like if I take this one out, like from here, if I just do this, you don't even see the difference. See, it's basically the same thing. But as soon as I add this one, then you're gonna see that it is changing the values. So that's the main thing you need to keep in mind when you use a multiply layer or an overlay or whatever else. It will affect your values, so you need to keep them in check. Be sure you're not changing something that you don't want to change. So I think I'm gonna go with a little of a red shadow in here. Just adding some dark red values just for fun. See how it goes. Things that I can change later if I don't like it. That's interesting. I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm gonna create another multiply layer so I can do a stacking effect basically, so I can decide it. Because I could still just go darker on that other layer that I was on, but I'm always afraid that I'm gonna fuck everything up, so I like to do multiple layers to try and keep my a little backup in case I mess things up too badly. A little less saturation. Gonna darken the beak. That's fun. It's a nice look. Flipping is a good way to look from a new perspective at your drawing. So it's a good idea if you're feeling tired of it. Like 'cause sometimes your brain can start filling gaps on your painting, and it looks more like what you're imagining instead of what you're seeing. So sometimes flipping it makes it forces you to look at it from a new perspective, and you see some blatant errors that you were not seeing before. Like, oh god, I thought this was good, but it's a total mess. So now I have to change everything. That kind of situation, and it is better to do it by yourself and not someone else finding it out. You know. So it's a good idea to flip. Some people even flip it vertically as well. I just flip horizontally. I even create my own shortcut for it so I can do it with the click of a button. Yes. Okay, I think I'm getting as far as I can with a multiply layer. As you can see, it darkened the value, but it's still very soft, very not very intense. You know, it's not very dramatic. So I can use an overlay layer, for example, to add some drama to the color, some more vividness and where I want. So in this case, for example, I can choose if I'm gonna go with a warm color. So I would go with a very desaturated yellow and quite bright, for example, just to brighten things up. Like it's more on a sunny day, so to speak. Or I can go with the colder color, you know, just I just want to warm some. I can even go a little darker, a little more saturated, just to make it feel like it's on. It's just the feel light from the sky, you know. It's not a direct key light from the sun, and especially on stuff like feathers that you know they're gonna uh, react to this kind of stuff. You can even add a little bit more of a blue um, tinge to it, you know, just that little more, just to make it feel more like it's being exposed. And I can even play with the the colors, and like this way I can go probably not too bright so I don't mess too much of my values, a little less. And that's interesting, a little more vivid. I can even work in shadows as well. I can darken it up, and it's different from the multiply because it's gonna kind of like burn a little bit. So it's gonna not just gonna change the value, it's gonna change a little bit of the saturation as well. So sometimes you want to try it with an overlay instead of a multiply. It's it's all trying out, you know. It's always trying new possibilities and seeing what you prefer. It's all experiments. Adding some little shadows underneath the feathers, trying to make more like clumps. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Maybe let's see if I can give a little streak on the beak that don't look too fake. Oh, that this is nice. Just a tad. I I really like trying to be as subtle as I can be for a bird with a big thing that looks like a ball sack on top of his head. I know, but I I like subtlety, so I like to be very subtle in my details. Try to add just small touches. Sometimes stuff that people don't even notice, but I know it's there, and it makes me happy. I can use adjustment layers as well. Even like right now, for example, I can use a level layer and play with it until I get the feeling that I want. I want more exposure, like looks like a brighter image taken on a very sunny day, or I can just say that I want it to be darker overall, you know, like, make it feel more like in the shadow of something. That's a possibility. Or the opposite, like something that's very bright, far away. I can just play with the midtones as well. Try and get it just right, not too dark. That's a possibility. Yeah, but I don't want it. Or I can play with the brightness or the contrast, you know, just very contrasty and not contrasty at all. Very bright, very dark. Or even some color balance. Why not? I feel like it needs a little more red overall. Maybe orangey. And I think the shadows need a hint of blue. Maybe the highlights a little bit of yellow. Okay. It changes everything. And I can even just lower the opacity, make it more subtle. Don't want it to be very strong. I build on top of it and build on top of it. Well, my whole process is just adding stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff until it feels right. That's not the case with this one. So I'm gonna try and play around a little bit more and get this to the proper thing that I'm thinking about. Just 1 second, guys. Just yeah, I think I'm gonna use a new layer. I'm gonna put it on soft light since I talked about it. I'm gonna grab this brush of mine that is more I don't think you can see it like this. See, it's more of a grungy feeling to it, so let's use this one to try and get a little more of a variation going on here because it's very uniform right now. So let's grab this on color, a little less saturation, a little more brightness. Just create a little variation here that also lights up a little bit. See, you can already see the difference. Very subtle, but is there, and I know it's there, so I feel better. Just create like some small bumps, maybe some pores. It works very well. See, you don't notice while you're painting, but as soon as you turn it off, turn it on again, you're like, oh, it made a difference. Can even use on the feathers, probably a different hue too, so maybe a different brush altogether. But you can use it to create a little more of a being hit by a few lights on the sky feeling here. Yeah, it works. A little bit of blue bumps in here. Sure. Okay. Gonna create a new layer. Gonna overlay. Overlay or multiply? I'm gonna go with overlay first. Grab some red. Like a little bit warmer in here. You can also use some tricks as well. For example, like adding a little bit of orange to the line that divide a cast shadow. It's a classic painting sort of trick. It makes it feel better. What's the name of the guy? I'm not gonna try to pronounce his name because I'm gonna fuck it up. It's a French guy probably. And there's a guy that uses this all the time and it works really well. That guy, not recent, just classical painting. So here, yeah, there's a nice little streak of orange in there. Just a little bit in here, a little bit in there. That's nice. I like it. And then I can go with just a normal layer and just work stuff that I think needs to be a little bit better. For example, here maybe a little more saturated, just to create a more of a indentation, feeling more like a crevice. Just blending everything in. Yeah, it looks better. Darker. Blend it up. I can, like I said, I can add some veins to it, for example. Try some veins in here. Maybe some of them are more bulgy, so they will catch some light. You can create some dark, almost like a bevel emboss. It's a possibility. Not completely sold on it, but it's a possibility. Just gonna. I don't think this one works very nice, but for example, I could. Let's go on the overlay layer again. I'm gonna go with a dark red, maybe almost purplish. Yeah. Work on this area where there's more of a feeling that is in touch with the fleshy parts of the surface. I can even create some dark green veins as well. Veins are very cool. They can be green, they can be blue. It depends on the part. Sure, if you notice, like around your eyes, they're probably gonna see some blues and purples. Some, you know, your arms and other stuff, they're gonna be green. It's fun. or just some classic red, of course. It has more of a artery kind of feeling to it instead of a vein. So more of like oxygenated blood, good for areas where like it's more close to the surface, like capillaries, uh, vein, arteries, and stuff like that. Areas coming out of the nose, areas where it's gonna either exchange heat or that you feel then needs to be more vascularized, more sensitive areas. Maybe a little bit of a like I said, all of this I would go on top on a normal layer and just refine. This is not the finished painting at all. It's just a process, quick process to start working on the colors of it. I could have a finished painting, but I would have to have finished it first in grayscale and then just work with the colors. But the main thing, the thing that makes everything looks better is to just work on top of it again. The more times you paint on top of it and you keep adding up subtlety after subtlety, detail after detail, like some darker saturated coloring here, it gets better. The overall feeling gets better when you look at it all. It all adds up and it feels so much better. I think I'm gonna maybe play around a little with the levels. No, levels aren't helping. Saturation. Ooh, no, definitely not. It's very low saturated right now. Very low saturation. Let's add a new layer on top of it all. And I'm gonna go with a little bit of an overlay. Grab my soft brush. Some orangey. Not that. No, a little less. Okay. And some blue here maybe. Yes, it's stronger blue. This looks so fucking dumb. I love it. Uh-huh. Let's try a little bright here. Yes, yes, yes. Just adding some color to it, some brightness to it. Alright, quite of a change already. I could go and maybe create a screen layer, and then with a very dark blue I can create a very soft and light feeling. No, maybe a little more in this area, more saturated. Yeah, that's interesting. That's pretty much it. You know, from this on, you can go and do um, what whatever you want, and you can always just collapse everything down, like merge everything down. Um, uh, Options are endless. Let's see how far. Okay, yeah. This is when I was playing around. Sure. This is the. You can change some stuff, different colors, different values. Can adjust. Maybe not this one, so maybe this one's gonna be nice. I'll see. desaturated, darker on here. Can play with this so it makes it a little bit brighter, or I can turn everything down and just try to make the face darker and less saturated, and then add some high notes, some brightness to it, maybe even play with the levels. See, so just experimentation. I'll film just a very basic grayscale painting of a weird bird. And I guess that's pretty much it. That's how I do it. From here, I would probably go to other. Let me just quickly save this so I don't lose everything. Um, this is how I do all of my drawings. Like for example, this one that I'm working on right now. Open up. I started the same way. It was first a grayscale. I got the idea down, felt confident on what I wanted, and then I use all these color layers and way that I play with it to get the colors that I wanted, and then I kept on painting, but this time with colors. You can see this part is not finished, but I'm gonna do it already on color since I already know the different saturations that it has, the different colors, and like the stuff that I was talking about, like adding little details, like some skin folds, some uh, marks on the nails, some veins going down, veins, arteries, all the fun stuff. Little bumps, little wrinkles, little spots, little beauty marks. Actually, this is kind of dangerous if you have a. Depending on the color, there's some types of spots on your head that can actually signify a possible problem in the brain as well. Um, but this guy is he just has like this little thing here. He has more serious problems than this. But yeah, see, so I think I even have. Let me see if I have in here, or if it's the older version. Let me turn it off in here. I might have in on grayscale. I see the beginnings. Kind of plain. I usually like make a new copy and then work on the new copy. So I have a backup. I have a lot of them. I'm always afraid I'm gonna lose everything. So I'm always trying to back everything up. See, like here. This was the last time that I was working on a grayscale, and then I decided to start adding colors. So, and from then I was confident on the colors that I chose. So I just kept on working on it with the colors, adding more details, changing values sometimes, refining more and more, adjusting, adding stuff, taking out stuff, some stuff that didn't have yet, and that's how it goes until you get to the level that I am right now of the painting. I think I think that's it. I think that pretty much cover it. Maybe this is longer than it should have been since it's basic. I know I'm not saying that this is easy. Like it might be the first time you're playing with something like this. It's gonna be hard. What I mean is, technically speaking, it's not very doesn't have a lot of steps and it's not very. I could have made a better. I could have resumed. Could summarize it. I could have made a better presentation, but I didn't. So yeah, sue me. Don't, please don't sue me. But yeah, that's it. I think this. I think I said all I could say about it. And I don't know if there's any doubt, you can talk with me in case you want. Like I said, I'm pretty much no one, so just shoot me a message, I'll reply. And we can always talk about painting because I really like it. Uh, that's it. Thank you all very much. See ya.